Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Yeah, you know I'm shooting straight from the hip.
This is Carla Renata, a.k.a. the Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know I'm shooting straight from the hip. Love, peace, and hair grease. Yeah, you know I'm shooting straight from the hip.
Let's take a trip around the curve.
Hampton, but we the real HU. Now, y'all know I was running my mouth for about 15 minutes and realized I had not pressed the record button. Ooh, Lord, I had to laugh at myself. If this is your first time joining me, baby, I am Carla Renata, and you have tuned into the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. And what I do here is I do interviews and I talk to people above and below the line in the film industry. If you are on YouTube, please give me a big old thumbs up to let me know you were here. And click that bell for notifications and subscribe to the channel because you never know who you might see here. And sometimes you might not even see me until 15 minutes later because my crazy behind forgot to push the record button. So having said that, baby, let's take a trip around the curve and then I'll catch you up on what the show is going to be about in just a few seconds. Here we go. Let's take a trip around the curve. Johnny Depp describes the decline of relationship with Amber Heard, saying she's engaged in physical and emotional abuse. Netflix hints at password sharing crackdown, says 100 million households are streaming for free. Jason Momoa is in talks for Minecraft movie at Warner Brothers. Panda Go Panda is set to have a theatrical release in select theaters. The Flash star Ezra Miller is arrested by Hawaiian police for assault. The WB is silent as the superhero pick is still expected to be released in 2023. Kevin Bacon joins the Julia Roberts film Leave the World Behind at Netflix. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's next film to tell story of Michael Jordan's Nike deal. Tony Screen Gems Celine Dion movie Is All Coming Back to Me has a date set. More to come. Ms. Marvel actress Lauren Marsden joins Asa Butterfield and Natalia Dyer in the horror film All Fun and Games. Omari Hardwick, Kelly Rowland, and Rome Flynn board the sports comedy Fantasy Football from Nickelodeon and Awesomeness Films. Patton Oswalt's comedy I Love My Dad is acquired by Magnolia. Prime Video and Amazon Freevee celebrate Asian Pacific American Heritage Month with a collection of original programming that reflects the many facets of the AAPI community. Lakers legend Jerry West rips HBO and Adam McKay's Winning Time for false portrayal of him in their limited series. All in the Fight for Democracy, co-director Lisa Cortez inks a first-look deal with Blue Ant Studios. Female hip-hopper innovative series docuseries is in the work. Alma Harrell is set to direct an adaptation of Walter Tevis's Mockingbird at Searchlight. Eva Longoria taps Sandra Condito as president of TV and film for her unbelievable entertainment. Russ Production Company is fined nearly $137,000 for willful and serious safety violations. Amazon acquires It Takes Two adaptation with $7 to produce. Searchlight Pictures suspends production on Aziz Ansari's Being Mortal. Production is suspended due to complaints made against Bill Murray for inappropriate behavior. Idris Elba is set to lead the Apple TV Plus thriller Hijack from Lupin writer George K. Warner Brothers Discovery shuttered CNN Plus, ending the network's high-priced gambit on subscription streaming. Scott Freeboard's feature adaptation of Camilo Russell's Infinite Machine, and Cannes adds 17 films, setting a new record for female directors in the competition. But that record is a paltry 5 films directed by women out of the 21 competing for the Palme d'Or. Ghost star Utkarsh Ambudkar sets a rap musical comedy feature at Disney+. Division writer Bobak Asfajani signs an overall deal with FX Productions. Jenna Bush Hager taps Ben Spector as president of film and television for her Universal Studio Group-based company. Pig director Michael Sarnowski is set to write and direct an adaptation of the graphic novel Sabrina for New Regency. New Line acquires Rebecca Searle's novel in 5 years for HBO Max, with Amy Lagos directing. Joe Manganiello is cast as the lead in the dark comedy comedy thriller The Kill Room opposite Uma Thurman and Samuel L. Jackson. Michael Mann is prepping for Ferrari in Italy ahead of a planned summer shoot. J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot is set to produce a live-action Hot Wheels film for Mattel and Warner Brothers. Stranger Things star David Harbour will lead the Trashers for Cha Cha Real Smooth director Cooper Raiff in 30 West. Netflix lands Greg Weidman and Jeff Tuck spec Below with Shazam. David F. Sandberg directing. Tyra Banks is boarding the Treehouse Pictures remake of Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. And today on the Curvy Classic, we are talking all things classic film. Stay tuned. Hey, so that was a nice little quick trip around the curve, wasn't it? So listen, this is what we have going on for the show today. I usually talk to y'all about what I did the week before, but what I did the week before, it literally was prepping for the Turner Classic Movies Film Festival, which happened from April 21st through the 24th. They had the closing night party last night, and they closed it out with coffee starring Pam Grier, who you see in that photo there. And I have a little interview with her from the red carpet. But without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get into that red carpet action, and then I'll tell you all about the Turner Classic Movies Film Festival. Oh, but before I do that, this is the question I asked. When was the very first time you saw E.T.?
Hey, it's your girl Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic. I am in Hollywood at the Turner Classic Movies Film Festival, talking all things classic movie. We are back and it is live on the red carpet. We had Steven Spielberg, we had Pam Grier, we had all of the hosts from the TCM Classic Movie Festival. I cannot wait for y'all to see all this coverage and hear everything that everyone had to say. I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
It was a staggering experience for me. Unbelievable. People were cheering and crying and applauding and jumping up to their feet. I mean, yeah, it was an experience. It means that people are still hearing the truth about love and friendship. And maybe, just maybe, we'll hear it enough that we'll start living it.
I think I was about 5 or 6. I was 1 when it came out, but I saw it a little bit later, and I remember falling in love with Drew Barrymore. I remember crying that when Lily dies, but it just has that Steven Spielberg magic. It's truly a special film, and it's timeless.
Oh, well, first I cried. I remember crying. It was like seeing The Wizard of Oz. It's like that. It's The Wizard of Oz and E.T. It's like those two movies. That's it. No, I mean, as far as those classic family films, those are the ones. But I also like The Bad Seed. Not that it's a family film, but it's about a little girl that kills.
I was like, oh, this creature, he doesn't really look that cute to me. I don't know. But it's just amazing animatronics and acting, right? And then Steven Spielberg just knows how to put a story together that catches you in places that you don't expect. So it was really moving.
I was young. I didn't have kids. I didn't really think much about family and what that meant. But I loved it, and I went in thinking, this is going to be a great movie for children. And I came out thinking, this is a movie for all of us. It means something to all of us, and I think we all feel strongly about our childhood and what that was like to feel like you were separate and alone, and then to find someone who sees you, even though it's an alien, someone who really sees you and understands you, and you find friendship and kinship with. Is remarkable and warming. And now I see it more as a mom who, it's heartbreaking to think what that would have been like as a family that's broken apart and, struggling. It does hit different now.
Well, when I go to the back of my closet,
I want to say one thing to E.T., and that is that on your first month of your existence of Entertainment Tonight, you came on my E.T. set. And so there was the E.T. logo on the camera that was on my E.T. set. So that was like meant to be.
I did not.
So that was what happened on the red carpet, y'all. But let me give a big old shout out and a big hello to my boy, Brandon, who always comes here and is supportive for sisters. So let me come back on the screen so I can say hi. Hi, Brandon. Thank you so much for always coming and supporting me. And he says, he always has great things to tell me. So he said that this weekend, he had a great weekend. He saw The Bad Guys. He really loved that. I told you you were going to love it. It's really funny. He also tells me that the summer movies that he's looking forward to are Bob's Burger movie, Minions, Rise of Gru, Paws of Fury, and Lightyear. I'm looking forward to all of those too. And he also is looking forward to DC League of Super Pets. And he tells me that his favorite films so far this year are Turning Red, Sonic 2, and The Bad Guys. I kind of love Turning Red and The Bad Guys. Those are my two favorites this year so far. But thank you, Brandon, for joining me. You know I always love it when you're here. So on the red carpet, you guys, I was so lucky that I got to speak to all of those people. I got to go to a plethora of events, one of them including a tribute to Leonard Maltin. They gave him, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Sorry about that. They gave him the Robert Osborne Award. So if you're not familiar with Turner Classic Movies or who Robert Osborne is, Robert Osborne was the main lead host on Turner Classic Movies before he passed away, and then Ben Mankiewicz took over those leading role duties as host of the network. But the festival decided to name an award in his name to keep his legacy alive. And this year they gave it to Leonard Maltin, and rightly so. And that night of the honor, Leonard had us watch one of his favorite comedy films, because comedy is his favorite genre. And it was a 1933 film called Counselor at Large or Counselor at Law. And it starred John Barrymore. It was hella funny. The first 10 minutes of it is this receptionist with this crazy voice just answering the phone. And you just hear her answering the phone and all these shenanigans that she has. But it was really lovely. And it was great to see him being honored in that way. Another one of the things that I was excited about is that Turner Classic Movies is starting to embrace films not only from like the 20s and 30s and 40s, but they're moving forward into like the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. And two of the films from the 70s that they honored were Cooley High and Coffee, which are some films that I was familiar with when I was younger. And I had a chance to talk to Lawrence Hilton Jacobs on the carpet about Cooley High. This is what he had to say.
And it was playing in the area, and I went up to with Michael and the producer Steve Krantz, and they talked to me, and I think it was the early days of putting people on video. It was in black and white. They videotaped me. They just asked me a bunch of questions, and then I was leaving, and Michael came up, and he walked down the block. He was talking about the movie. He says, how do you feel? And I says, look, I really like it. I would like to be in it. I'm not just trying to flatter you. But it was a trip. When we got down to 46th Street and 7th Avenue, Claudine was playing on the marquee behind us. I said, I didn't plan this, brother. I ain't trying to play you. But, we just got along, and they trusted me as an actor. I just turned 21 back then. And we went up and did it, and met my other lifelong friend, Glenn Turman, out of it. Something I really do take it on as a sincere honor. I was real hyped up on it, and I said, wow, man, I watch these things on television, and okay, that's what you do. But when they decided to take our film and present it, I said, then it's opening up to a whole new arena of people. It's being appreciated for what it was, and it's still a good movie. It's still funny. All of us are still trying to look a little bit all right, so we're holding up a little taste. We ain't no babies, but we holding up, And ain't nobody young. I'm the young boy out of the crew, and I'm 68. So there you go.
Well, you're holding still. Really
Yeah, right on, my sister. We keeping it real.
Thank you.
So before that conversation started, I had asked him how his audition went for Cooley High, and he didn't audition for Cooley High. And ironically enough, Dee Wallace did not audition for E.T. They were offered those roles, and I thought that was absolutely amazing and great to talk about. So the beginning of that story is him talking about how he and Michael Schultz were walking down the street talking about him playing Cochise in Cooley High, and as they were having that discussion, there was a marquee that had Claudine over it because he had just finished doing Claudine at the time. So his destiny was supposed to be in that film. If you have not seen Cooley High, it is directed by Michael Schultz. It takes place in Detroit, USA. It is hilarious, and it will break your heart all at the same time. Now, let me talk about Miss Pam Grier for a minute, honey. Miss Foxy Brown, Miss AKA Coffee, Miss AKA Sheba Baby. Honey, Pam Grier is the real deal. She's so freaking nice. Really, really sweet. Really, really nice. And I saw Coffee when I was a kid. There's a difference between seeing Coffee when you're a kid and seeing Coffee as an adult. As an adult, it had a completely different meaning for me. But as a kid, I was like, wow, she's beautiful. And then, of course, all the little boys were loving it because, there was some mild nudity, partial nudity involved, and they lost their little, teenage minds. But I talked to her about that, and then she told me something that I didn't know. So take a look and listen to this brief little clip from Pam Grier on the red carpet for TCM Film Festival.
I saw you stretching out on my pants. Girl, they're in your closet. 71, 72, 73, 74. I know it. And they said, Steven Spielberg wants to see me. I'm going, but I'm working. I'm on the set. He wants to see you now. Okay. Well, and they gave me an hour. And so my friends jumped in any car, and just drove me over to meet with him. And I quickly read the scene and the script. And it was the role of a singer for Suge. It was for Suge. And I just said, oh my gosh. So I composed a gospel song for him. I don't know where it was, some piano that was sitting around in the soundstage. And I wrote it and sang it. And then I went to his office and sang and wrote it for him. And I just said, I feel so bad. He loved it. I loved it. But I was working, and I wouldn't be able to do it. And someone else got the role, Margaret Avery, and it was so wonderful. I many times am working, and I will say, well, there's several other actresses who are really good for this. You need to look at them. So I always did that, even with one of my dearest friends, Vanetta McGee. I did that a couple of times, and for who was the other ones? Carol Speed, a few others that said, I'm not available, but call them now. But I did that. And I always I know if I work, 100 people work. I always want people to work and be employed. That's why it's important that my film of my life gets done, because a lot of people will be involved with it. A lot from Quentin to actors to writers to musicians. So I want everyone who help our culture help us move to here. So it's really important that I include them. They're a part of my life and our culture. Well, thank you, Mommy. Just to see you out here looking all fine. Look, I got the sandals on.
I need those pants to complete my outfit, though.
Oh, you got them in your closet. All you have to do is dig it out, Mommy. Okay, they're in your closet. Okay, 1972. Okay. It might be your mommy. Okay, it might be your grandmama, your abuela. Okay. Okay. See. Okay.
She had me cracking up. I am not Latina, even though my name sounds Latina, but I'm not Latina. I am blackity black, black, black. But Pam Grier, baby, she was so nice and so gracious, and I really, really enjoyed talking to her on that red carpet. So one of the other things I did was the second to last day, we did a round table with Leonard Maltin, and I love him. As I said, he was being honored by the TCM Festival with the Robert Osborne Award, and we did a round table situation, and there I am amongst the peeps, and we did a little round table interview with him. And then I ran over to the Pan-African Film Festival, where I moderated a discussion with Tabitha Brown, Aisha Hines, and Shelley Robertson about embracing your authentic self. And I love this t-shirt that Tabitha had on, where it says, you can't really read it, but it says freedom over code switching. And code switching is something that we as African American people talk about all the time, because we are always having to do it. So that was what my week was like. And then I'm going to talk about these movies in a minute. But before I do that, I want to talk to you about Miss Sarah Jones. So Sarah Jones is my girl. And she is one of these rare birds that she does these one woman shows. And she did a show called Bridge and Tunnel, where she won a Tony Award for that. And then she followed it up with this show, Sell by Date, where she is addressing the world of sex workers. And her and I sat down and had a really in-depth, deep conversation about that. And I just wanted to give you guys a little taste of it. So here we go with my discussion with Miss Sarah Jones, my boo, talking about her filmmaking debut, which played at the San Francisco Film Festival this past weekend. And she has some exciting news that she might or might not share in this interview. Here we go with Sarah talking about Sell by Date. Is sex work something that's exploitive? Is it empowering? So with that in mind, why did you choose the specific people that you chose to highlight those stories?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I learned. You know, a lot of times you watch a documentary or a film, and the hope is that, yes, you want to be entertained, you want to have a good time, and I really want to give that to people. And I want to learn. I don't know everything about this, so I wanted to hear a range of voices. Again, there can, especially in our culture right now, it's like, this is the only way. Cancel. It's just like, okay, can we just let everybody have, not everybody. If you're running around coughing on people on planes right now and you think that's your freedom, I don't need to hear from you. I haven't heard from you. But within reason, there are so many different experiences. There are so many different women of color, trans women, we have in our culture an opportunity to learn from each other. So I figured if I have you sitting in that theater seat or watching it, on your streaming platform, I want you to have a good time, but I also want you to think, oh my God, I forgot. I went to that strip club that time. And, I wondered, that woman said she was paying for college. These are stories that touch our lives more than we think. And I wanted to hear a range of those experiences.
Now, I know that this was a form of cinematic therapy for you as well. Why did you choose that route to deal with that issue? Because it's a big one and it's extremely personal for you, and you touch on it in the film. I don't want to say too much about it for people that are watching the film or going to watch the film, but I want you to address that while we're having this conversation, just a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Carla. So I don't want to give it away, but I'll just say when I did my play, I had this wonderful experience. I got to share it with amazing audiences. And Cher came, it was wild. It was like, look at the people that will come see this play. And then I thought, if people come see the play and they get something out of it, I can only reach 600 people a night or whatever it is. What if I opened it up and reached a film audience? And what I didn't do in the play is tell any of my personal story. You get to hear somebody who's very removed and detached from the material talking about it in the play. But in the movie, you see me walk through my own personal conversation that I haven't been willing to have until now. So it's a deep experience for me. And I've had other people share that they think differently about their own past, their relatives, people they've known, and that makes it worth it. It makes it worth it to have that vulnerable journeys. So we talk a lot about who chose it and, why would you do it? And then there are women who are like, you don't get to tell me what I choose or why or who I am. And I wanted to honor all of that, because otherwise we get pitted against each other. And the dudes, who are like making billions of dollars off of this industry, they tiptoe away, laughing all the way to the bank, skiing down the slopes of Switzerland, while women, and often women of color, are at each other's throats around this issue. And it's like, wait a minute, where have we seen this before? Follow the power, follow the money, and then we can talk more about our choices, who chooses what and why. So I think that's what I try to get at in the film is like, women
you do it beautifully. Now, girl, I would be remiss in this conversation if, as we're closing it out, Meryl Streep is not a sex worker. Meryl Streep is that highfalutin white actress that we all love, that has been awarded 5 bazillion times. And she came to your show and was like, I'm going to produce this. And then she produced it again for the screen. But how did she come into the picture of all of this from the get-go?
I feel like with Meryl, she is an example that we may think of her as an entry in the dictionary under like best actress or whatever,
Thespian, like she's right. Like the epitome of thespian.
Right. She's a brand, she's an entity, right? But she's not. And she really does, over the years I've known her, and she has, long before we were having conversations about equity and all of that, she understood that she has access and can amplify my voice, right? To talk about people who I can amplify, like you can amplify. There are folks whose stories need to be told that don't look like Meryl. And she understands that some of us don't have the platform that she has. And when she puts her, you know, kind of
stamp.
When she says, hey, this matters to all of us. This is not pimps up, hoes down. This is not, you know, a story that's told from a male perspective. I want to hear from women who have been in the life, who are still in the life, and who will never, you know, be on the stage at the Oscars. But maybe we can start to, you know, see the importance of those voices. It's really relevant. And so I want people to open up their minds and realize, wait a minute, this is something that we marginalize and we don't think about, but it's actually there, and it's driving us to feel some kind of way, some kind of shame, some kind of judgment, when really we could free ourselves if we watch a film like this and find how much we can identify with the people in the film. So that's my goal. And I think that's Meryl's goal in all her character portrayals and when she supports others.
And it's playing, Sell by Date is playing at the San Francisco International Film Festival this weekend?
It's actually tomorrow, which I'm excited about. And then from there, if folks want to follow me on Instagram and Sell by Date Doc on Instagram, we have news to come, but we can't say it right now.
You can't break an exclusive with a sister? That's messed up.
Girl, you know, I wish I could.
It's all good. Well, thank you, Miss Sarah Jones. I appreciate you coming through the Curvy Critic and talking with me about your doc. Is it a doc? I don't know.
It's a hybrid.
Find out. It's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid. I call it an unorthodox.
Oh,
come find out what that means.
That's a good word for it. So thank you, my sister. It's always a joy to talk to you.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Mwah.
Mwah.
So you guys check out Sell by Date. If you go to the site that Sarah said, if you just go type in Sarah Jones Sell by Date, you should be able to find the news and the film so that you're able to watch it yourselves. So let me talk to you a little bit about these 3 films that had 3 30-year anniversaries. One of them actually debuted, let me find it. One of them actually debuted 30 years ago, the same day that the Oscars happened on March 27th. And that one was White Man Can't Jump. So White Man Can't Jump is a 1992 film. It's a sports comedy that was written by Ron Shelton. It stars Wesley Snipes, Woody Harrelson, and they play these street ball hustlers. And Rosie Perez plays Woody Harrelson's girlfriend. The film was released by 20th Century Fox on March 27th in 1992. Now, in January 2017, Kenya Barris was developing a White Man Can't Jump remake with NBA star Blake Griffin and NFL player Ryan Khalil for March 2022. I don't know what happened with that project, but I will find out and let y'all know. Now, and I also wanted to say this film was hilarious only because Wesley Snipes really couldn't play ball better than Woody Harrelson. The roles were actually reversed, right? And it was hilarious. He was, practicing every day, and there's some interviews and things floating around with them talking about it. But I would be remiss in that film having a 30-year anniversary because I thought it was hella without highlighting Miss Tyra Farrell, Mr. Wesley Snipes, Mr. Woody Harrelson, and Miss Rosie Perez. Now, another film that had a 30-year anniversary was Pulp Fiction. And Pulp Fiction, as we know, is one of Quentin Tarantino's joints. It stars Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, and John Travolta. And this film was kind of considered like not a callback, but a comeback film for John Travolta because we hadn't seen him on the film in a while, like literally since, not a big film, like since Saturday Night Fever. And then he came back with this film and it was all the rage. Quentin Tarantino got a lot of flack for this film because it was really, 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 really violent. It deals with the lives of these 2 mob hitmen, a boxer, a gangster, and his wife, and these pair of diner bandits whose lives all intertwine in these 4 tales of violence and redemption. Now, Tarantino wrote the role of Jules specifically for Samuel L. Jackson, who had been doing a lot of films with Spike Lee at the time. However, it almost went to Paul Calderon after a really good audition. When Jackson heard about this, baby, he flew to LA and auditioned again to lock it up. And Calderon ended up with a smaller role, and Samuel L. Jackson got what he wanted. Now, the passage from the Bible that Jules has memorized was mostly made up by Quentin Tarantino and Sam Jackson. The first part about the righteous man and the tyranny of evil men is not real. However, the second half, and I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger, and you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee, is a direct quote from Ezekiel 25:7. And it's likely that Tarantino included it as a reference to Shinichi Sonny Chiba film. Now, forgive me if I mispronounce this wrong. Bodigado Kiba, as the quote is almost word for word from the opening scene. So that is Pulp Fiction. It is celebrating 30. And these three films that I'm talking about, actually, they all have reunions on the Oscars, as I talked about in my Oscar show. So if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say that, just go back and look at the Oscar show and you'll see all about that. And last but not least, we got New Jack City, baby. Am I my brother's keeper? Now, you heard me talk a few weeks ago about New Jack City and Am I My Brother's Keeper, because it's being used in a new film with my boy Michael Ealy that's directed by Charles Murray called The Devil You Know. But New Jack City was directed by Mario Van Peebles, and at the time it starred a little rapper named Ice-T. You might know him. He's the one that's in those yoga commercials right about now. A really popular comedian who had an incident happen to him on the Oscars named Chris Rock, Judd Nelson, Wesley Snipes, Vanessa Williams, Christopher Williams, Bill Nunn, and Alan Payne are all in this movie. And it centers on a crime lord played by Wesley Snipes who ascends to power and becomes a maniacal kind of maverick drug lord. And in the meantime, there's this maverick police detective that vows to stop him. And that police detective would be played by Ice-T. It has a killer soundtrack. If you have never heard the soundtrack to New Jack City, there was a whole sound that was created after this film came out called the New Jack City sound. And it was mostly centered around Teddy Riley and Guy. The New Jack sound started with them, and then it was fostered even more with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. But y'all, that is it for this edition of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. Now, if you didn't check out Polar Bear that I talked about last week during Earth Day, it's now streaming on Disney Plus. Make sure you check it out because it is so, so beautiful. The film's coming out next week. I'm going to talk about Memory, and I'm going to talk about a few other ones. I will put it up on my social media so that you can see what it is. But thank you for joining me for this half an hour of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. I am your host, Carla Renata. Thank you so, so much for joining me. Please give me some snaps and claps and some thumbs up. Click that bell for notifications if you are on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see y'all on the flip side. So until then, love, peace, and hair grease, y'all, and deuces.